So I use business as a vehicle for social change. That's the way I see it. For me, and what I try to really instill in my employees is doing your inner work. You're March 6th. Are you the same age?
今日はですね、なんと素晴らしいゲストをお迎えさせていただいております。ジェフ・スタインバーグさんで合ってますかね？ Did I pronounce your name okay? シャインバーグ、right? 今日はですね、彼が、なんとアメリカの囚人をですね、研修し直すことによって世界の有料企業の幹部候補生として採用されるという素晴らしいビジネスの仕組みを作られているジェフさんにいろいろ質問をさせていただきたいと思います。So thank you so much, Jeff, for joining my program.
Of course, great to be here.
And would you mind introducing yourself, like who you are, so that my audience, primarily those in their 40s and 50s and 60s, who want to shine in their lives like your clients do, who will be retrained from your education program and then sent to like amazing companies, corporate world, thanks to you.
So hi, my name is Jeff Scheinbein from San Diego, California. I live here in San Francisco, and I started a company called Social Imprints, and we do promotional products. So items that you see with corporations' logos, like hats and backpacks and t-shirts and hoodies that people wear with their corporate logos. And what makes our company unique is that 85% of the people that work at our company fit a certain criteria. So they're actually people that have been in and out of jails and prisons, or people that have battled with substance abuse, drugs, or alcohol, people with less than a high school diploma, or people that are chronically unemployed, veterans of the military, or what we call here in the US, underrepresented minorities. We provide higher paying professional employment, job training, and support services for people at our company. And that's really what makes us unique.
Oh my God, that I think is like have so many questions I want to ask you. You are not like someone who needs that kind of service yourself. Yeah, you grew up in a very, very sort of a blessed family, sort of. So, like, what really triggered you to take this path?
That's a great question. It's actually, of all the speaking that I've done about the company, that's the question that I get asked the most. And it's actually, I do have a connection to what we call the social mission, because while I don't battle from substance abuse, or, I've never been in jail, and I have a business degree, I have a learning disability, a severe learning disability, which makes me uniquely connected to my employees. So we actually do hire people with disabilities as well. So having a learning disability really connects me and gives me a unique understanding to the challenges that my workforce face.
Wow. But you don't seem to have a challenge at all. So could you describe what the challenge was growing up? Or
if you gave me a puzzle, like a children's puzzle, maybe someone from 6 or 7 years old, I probably couldn't do it. I can't really read maps. I can't fix things, put together anything that is three-dimensional or that has visual spatial, I would struggle with.
Really?
So again, anything, a children's toy, to put it together, IKEA furniture, I couldn't probably put it together. Luckily, I have my wife.
Then growing up, having that kind of disability, if I can call it, but you are so confident in yourself. So
it's interesting because, a learning disability is defined by, you take a test and it's mechanical or verbal. And if you're low scores on both, you're just considered, you may be slow, and if you're high on both, you could be considered a genius. So the definition is when you have the difference between the two scores, and the difference in my scores were some of the highest ever recorded. So with anything verbal, I'm very strong and very quick. So I can read a business plan and understand it within minutes, but I can't put together a children's puzzle. So So with business, I'm very confident and I can maneuver in that arena very well. And then in other arenas, like, plugging in a light bulb or fixing anything. I can't really. So, so there's certain things that I can do that are come very easy to me, and certain things that are nearly impossible for me to do.
So was it like a mandatory test that you took that gave you the high score?
So when I was 16, the teachers, or especially like I had a tutor that really noticed that I learned differently. And so at that, I was only tested at 16 years old.
Oh, I see. So until 16, did you have like a mixed self-image?
Yeah, like I really struggled in school a lot. And, I figured out ways to get by, or, and just to get by, or, I struggled in, year to year to year to year. So yeah, that's why I can very much relate to people who struggle, especially my employees that maybe turn to drugs or alcohol. But even though I didn't turn to that, I can still relate to their struggles.
What do you think, what prevented you from going to that path?
I think, as you mentioned earlier, just having an upbringing or parents that weren't really into drugs, or weren't really into alcohol, or weren't really into crime. We grew up in in an affluent neighborhood where everyone around me was, fairly wealthy. And so people around me weren't turning to those things. So it never really was role modeled for me to do that. So I just kind of struggled, and just kind of was more of an internal struggle versus an external one.
If you wanted to take advantage of your talent, reading the business plan and then master it in a second or in a minute, then you could have just, a profit pursuing business instead of like helping people out as a social entrepreneur. Like, what was exactly the trigger?
Yeah, I from a very early on, I've only had one job where I've worked for someone out of college, and that was only for 2 years. The rest of the time, I've either helped people start their own businesses, or I've started my own. I've started a couple different businesses here and one in England. So I knew very early on that my path was going to be around helping other people and helping disadvantaged populations to be able to become the best they can be professionally. So I use business as a vehicle for social change. That's the way I see it.
And then that's how you sort of manifest your dreams too.
Right. My purpose is to help others. So, but I love running businesses. So for me, it's a dream scenario because I get to run a $20 million company, because that's about where we are. And I get to help others doing it. So for me, it's the best of both worlds, where I can make a living and I can afford to live in a very expensive city.
And then very nice,
Thank you.
Oh my God,
So
Sony cow.
So I can afford to, to live in which is probably the most expensive city in the United States. But, I can do it in a way that makes me feel good about business.
It's like happy money, right? Because you are gaining profit by helping others thrive in their lives.
Right. And helping and doing it in a way that, for me, because business is what I know. So it's my passion, and it's what I've devoted my life to. So to be able to share that passion with other people and help them to live better lives through the thing that I'm most passionate about really gives me a lot of joy and happiness.
So when you help your employees or clients who had struggles with their lives, what's the first step? I'm sure some of the viewers may be struggling with their life, similar to, maybe they are not really addicted to alcohol, but maybe they are addicted to something else, some other addictions like fortune telling, which is also very common in Japan among women. They could resort to fortune telling. Okay, tell me how to solve this problem.
Looking for someone else.
Yeah, look for someone else.
For me, and what I try to really instill in my employees is, doing your inner work is the crucial part. To get some type of spiritual practice where you can work with somebody who can help you deal with the things that are causing you to turn to drugs or alcohol, or to run away from your issues, or turn to crime, or causing you to not get a job. So to me, the first step is finding someone help, because you can't do this work alone. So you have to find a professional.
Support system.
You have to find, that's number one. because some people can do it by themselves, but from doing this work now since 1998, so nearly 30 years and working with this population, I found that the ones that can get through the other side and live a healthy, meaningful life and turn away from the things that got them in trouble, some of the poor choices, is first and foremost is a support system.
I also want to ask, because I realized that, I got to know you through my husband, David, and then he also loves helping people. So do you think that it was part of your education system, like fostered, or the upbringing you guys shared, created that kind of, let's help people,
Yeah, I think that
it's a common thread between you.
I think so. I think that also, your shared experiences or how you grew up, or, having family that would support and nurture and foster that type of feeling, knowing David's family and how they feel about giving back and helping others. I think it's very difficult. Some people can develop it on their own, but I think having the role models to help you. And if you don't have role models, as we talked about, and you've dealt with very difficult situations, you have to go out and find them on your own. So if they're not right there for you, that's where the support system would come in.
Right. So when you help create a support system for your employees or for your clients, how do you source the support system? Do you help them? Okay, here are the sources that you can, visit.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're a business. We're a for-profit business. We have investors. We have customers, clients. We have very demanding marketplace. It's an incredibly impacted company. We have lots of competitors. So we only really, there's 25,000 different companies in our industry in the United States. So what I find is I have to concentrate on what I do best, which is the business, running a business, giving people opportunities and training. And then we can have other people who are better equipped to handle counseling. So we offer free, we pay for counseling. We let people go to AA. Alcoholics Anonymous, or NA. So we allow them to go to meetings during work. We pay for classes and different things that will help them grow themselves. So we offer them access to an outside support system, but we're not equipped to handle that internally, because at the heart of what we do, we're a business, and we have to have people focused on customers and customer satisfaction and in the business. But then outside, we realize that the people that we hire need maybe more support than maybe a typical employee would who is working in a company.
So earlier you mentioned that it's 80% of your employees. 85%, right? Which is huge. I think I could say almost everybody has that kind of, background. So has it been a case in the past, where some of them couldn't really follow through and got back into the program?
We've had a lot of issues. Yeah, we've had probably, we started in 2009. 2010 was our first full year, and we probably had 12 to 15 people relapse, which means go back into drugs or alcohol. But more common is we just have people that can't handle the intensity of a job. For about 50% of the people we employ, this is their first job. Legitimate job where they're maybe not selling drugs. We have a lot of people who work for us that used to sell drugs. So this is their first job. So showing up every day on time, putting in a full hours, dealing with feedback. The thing that we find that is most difficult for our employees is when they receive negative feedback or constructive criticism. They have a very difficult time, as a lot of our employees have a very difficult time with authority figures.
Right, because if they didn't grow up with the great role model or self-image,
their authority figures let them down, Their parents or their whoever was raising them or their teachers didn't care for them.
It's difficult to accept that without negating themselves.
Right. It's the most challenging part of what I do is trying to reach someone to get them to change or to grow and make it in a way that they will hear me and not see it as we're coming down on them. It happened. It just happened on Friday where we had an issue with an employee, who, thought that, and I was just trying to give some feedback that we have to do things a little differently. And this employee just was not able to kind of hear that type of criticism. So
what do you do?
It's very challenging. You try to provide as much support as you possibly can, but at the end of the day, they have to be able to do the job. So that's the most challenging aspect of what I do, of reaching employees that have not been in a normal work environment. So they, most people, by the time they get to be our age, because I'm old.
No, you're not. We're the same age, 54. We know.
Oh, you're March 9th.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, not
Yeah.
6.
I'm a week younger than David.
I'm 3 days.
I mean, a week older. Yeah. See how I got that mixed up. You're March 6th. Are you the same age? Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. I didn't know that. I mean, typically at our age, or even 40s, which we have probably the average age of our employees are maybe in their early 40s. You would have had 3 or 4 jobs by then, right? So you would have learned what is acceptable office. You would learn how to interact with the boss. You would learn office culture, what to do's and what not to do, right? You would, because that's what you do in your 20s.
Right.
Well, for our employees, they didn't have that benefit of going to the work and learning. So they're learning stuff for the first time in their 40s and 50s.
Do you document everything for them to read, or?
Yeah. So at first we didn't, because we felt like maybe a softer touch was the better approach. And then we learned the hard way that you have to document everything. So we're very document heavy, whether we issue a warning or a verbal warning, we make people sign. So we really follow the HR laws, the letter of the law now, because as a company, we also, was in the United States, we're a very litigious, happy society. And so it's very easy for an employee to sue you for discrimination or for wrongful termination. So we have to really protect ourselves in that way, probably more than other companies.
Wow.